This is the fourth, or fifth, or fourth, I think, Fireside Game Jam. The first Game Jam was back in 2021, and only 16 games were submitted. And since then, the jam has tripled in size, nearly making it to the funny number. But I think we've reached a sweet spot with these jams, because the jam is big enough that you can say it's an actual challenge, but it's still small enough that some of the participants are going to play and rate all of the games in the jam. Because there were so many submissions, I'm going to share the top 10 community voted games and the favorite game of each judge. The judges this time around are Emma and RockyMullet. Both of them were judges in previous jams, and they've both been in and won a number of jams between them. And then there's me, the YouTubey guy who hasn't actually won a game jam yet. But let's get started with the games. In 10th place is Regain by Sunny, a game about coming back from personal darkness, where you slowly clean up the space that you're living in while balancing your mental health. As the game progresses, you expand further and further into your own house, until finally you're able to walk into the yard and eventually the world. In 9th place is The Goat Fire of London by High Stakes Studio. And if you're not familiar with our Discord server, this one is pretty on brand for us. For some reason, there's always jokes about starting cults, usually around crabs or food. So in this game, you walk around the park and collect goats to sacrifice to the fire, which makes the fire grow, and then summons demons and creatures and monsters that you need to avoid so that you can continue sacrificing goats. In 8th is Happy King by BDJ7217. This game is a strategy game where you place cards and expand the land you have in order to earn more money each week, which then allows you to buy more cards and more land. Hopefully you'll have enough to pay rent and keep the king happy. In 7th place is Galactic Equilibrium by Daniel Miller and Quinn Fenton. In this game, the point is to connect planets together to send resources from one planet to the next one, and to keep as many planets alive as possible. Because if the planets don't get the resources that they need, they die out. In 6th place is Bearloon Blowin' by all of these people, because that's too many names that I'm going to mispronounce. And this is a word typing game where you need to successfully type in words to keep the balloon bar up in order to serve balloons to your patrons. In 5th place is Hole in a Wall by Heidi Hermit and Gen 10, which is a game about a rat who serves food in a totally copyright-free kind of way. In the game you have some rat patrons who show up and want some food. So then of course you need to make that food for each order. In 4th place is The Firefly Lighthouse by Iggy which is a game where you collect fireflies and bring them back to the start to light up the fog and further expand the play space that you're able to move around in. In 3rd is Nub City by Certified Bozo, which is a city building wave defense kind of game where you need to expand your city and population to defend against the waves of enemies that come to attack your city. In 2nd place is Epidemic Overdrive by Adam, which is your standard speedrunning, get everyone infected simulator kind of game, where everyone loves their Fireside Jam so much, they get it from their vending machines. And this game almost came in 1st place if it wasn't for the theme category, for which the game in 1st place kind of nailed. So in 1st is Infla Frog by Nice Cream, which is an adorable arcadey Frogger jumping kind of game, where the young frog tries to prove they're ready to explore the world by beating their father's high score at jumping. The premise doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's fun to play. Now for the judges' picks, starting with Emma, who said their favorite game was The Goat Fire of London. And they said that they thought the base mechanics were really fun, but the art style and theming really put it at the top of their list. They said that it gave them that classic one more run kind of feeling every time they lost the game. Then was the pick from RockyMullet, whose favorite game was Hole in the Wall. They said that the game was really well put together, and that it appears simple at first, with little cooking minigames where you have only a few ingredients to work with, but it eventually ramps up with a great tutorial and onboarding to its difficulty curve. And then there was my favorite game, and while I did enjoy most of the games that were shown off in this video, my favorite game was Nub City. And what I really enjoyed was that the game let you break its balance. So I came back a second and third time to play the game so that I could break it and get the satisfaction of the enemies not even getting a chance to show up on screen before dying. Before I show off the rest of the top 25 games, I just wanted to thank everybody for participating in this year's jam. I love setting this up every year and seeing what kinds of things people make with the themes that we come up with. It's an awesome thing to be a part of. But now, here's a montage of the rest of the top 25 games in the jam.